Oh, hello, this is Tak Chong from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Recently, my friend Jason just moved into an apartment. He asked me whether he can make soup in his wok because his wok is the only cooking utensil that he has at the time. And my answer to him is that, of course, you can make soup in a wok, but it depends on what type of wok that you have. Some wok is better for making soup than other type. If you have a carbon steel or a cast iron wok, then making soup in those woks might not be a good idea. The reason is for those type of wok, you always need to have a thin film of oil on the surface of the wok because that will prevent the wok from rusting. And in most of situations when you do stir frying, there always be a thin film of oil left on the surface as long as you do not wash the wok with soap. Because soap will remove this thin film of oil, and the end result is that wok will get rusted afterward. Now, boiling water will have the same effect. After you boil water in those type of woks, the thin film of oil will be removed. To prevent the wok from rusting, all you have to do is to apply some oil on the surface of the wok. However, there's an extra step you must remember to do. And now, because of this reason, it is much easier and more convenient to make soup in a stainless steel wok because stainless steel will not rust. So the conclusion is that you can make soup in any wok that you have, but it's much convenient and more feasible if you have a stainless steel wok. And Jason happened to have a stainless steel wok, so I told him that go ahead. Jason told me that he wanted to make some miso soup for his wife because he said his wife is going through menopause. And his wife liked to have some extra intake of phytoestrogen, which is present in soybean product. If you have been to a Japanese restaurant, you'll be familiar with miso soup because it is always the first course or second course of the dinner. As the name implied, miso soup is made from a product which is a soy fermented product known as miso. Miso soup is very simple to make. What you do is that you take the miso paste and add it to boiling water. And you can serve the miso soup in many different ways. One of the most common way is to serve it with tofu. And quite often, you will garnish it with green onion. Miso is made from soybean, and most of the time, the manufacturer will use non-GMO soybean. The soybean will be first washed to make sure to remove all the contaminant, and then they will be soaked in water overnight to soften the texture of the soybean. And then the soybean will be steamed. The steaming of the soybean will basically break down the soybean, make them easier to be mashed, and then they will put into a masher, and the soybean will mash up into a paste. And next, the smashed soybean will be then mixed with rice. And this rice is commonly known as rice koji because this rice contains a mold. And this mold will be then mixed together with salt. A mold is a type of fungus, and it grows in the surface of bread as well as many types of fruit. They have microscopic organisms that are very similar to yeast. A mold can produce various types of fermentation products, and the most famous of all is penicillin. In addition to penicillin, a mold is also responsible for producing many other important antibiotics, particularly for treating bacterial diseases. There are different types of mold for producing antibiotics or for creating fermentation products. In this case, this mold is known as Aspergillus oryzae, and which is responsible for making miso. The blended ingredient then stored in a tank, and this will allow the content to be fermented, and the end result is miso. Miso is frequently known as probiotics because it contains live organisms, and this organism will prevent many types of digestive disorders. Probiotics is well known for increased digestive health. And so in this case, I'm going to make the miso soup in my Cucina 14-inch stainless steel wok. And of course, you can make it in any type of utensil as you want. First, I put some of my basic seasoning mix. This is completely optional because miso already have very distinctive flavor. However, the basic seasoning mix will enhance the umami flavor of the soup. Next, I then put the miso paste into the soup. Now, how much that you want to put very much depends on the flavor that you are looking for. If you want to have very intense flavor, then you put in a little bit more. If you prefer it to be relatively mild, you can make the adjustment accordingly. And the miso paste come in different forms because of the type of soybean that are frequently used for making the miso. And some soybean has a much darker coloration, have more intense flavor, and as well as how the miso manufacturer season the miso. I have tried several different kind of miso, and I find them they actually are quite different from each other. I'm still looking for the one that I like. The most common ingredients that add to the miso soup is tofu, and there are different variations of tofu that you can use. In here, I use a firm tofu, but a lot of people like to use soft tofu or even silken tofu. For most people, the silken tofu is preferred because the tofu is very soft and it gives the miso soup a very tender texture, and it's very soothing and warming when the tofu is soft. Personally, I like all of them. I think quite often it depends on how I feel at the time. Therefore, I always have some soft or silken tofu on hand, particularly for this purpose. When it comes to stir frying, a firm tofu is probably the best because the soft and silken tofu will not stand up the stirring and they tend to break apart. But for the purpose of the miso soup, they worked very well. Since the tofu is already cooked, all I have to do is to warm them up to the serving temperature. If you want the tofu to have a softer texture, then you cook them a little bit longer. Otherwise, in less than 30 seconds, the soup is ready to be served. In this case, I cook the tofu in the soup for about 45 seconds. And then I need some thinly cut scallions to the soup. After stirred it for about 10 seconds, the soup is ready to be served. This makes the soup is probably one of the easiest and simplest as well as quickest to make. Still, you get wonderful flavor coming from the miso. The soup turned out very nicely, and my wife really enjoyed it, and she probably enjoyed it more than I did. If you love tofu, this is a wonderful soup, easy to make, very quick to serve. It is a fantastic addition to a multi-course dinner. Again, what I show you here is a basic template, and you can make many modifications by adding additional vegetables or meat, such as shrimp or chicken. This soup makes a great addition to any dinner, particularly on a cold January night. Miso has become very popular recently. You will see many recipes on the internet using miso in stir frying, in grilling, as well as in roasting. However, with all the use of miso, I think use them in the miso soup probably is the best option. In the future, I will show you more variations of how to create a miso soup. I post a video each day to help you to make home cooking as part of your daily routine using my fast cooking system. And the word fast is the acronym for flavor chasing, advanced prepping, stir frying, and template-based cooking. If you'd like to learn more about my fast cooking system, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.